Welcome to Keep Heading East. I'm Murray from the YSE Cookery School. If you're joining us again, then welcome back. And if you're joining this series for the first time, you've joined us in Japan. You can check out the main introduction to this series by clicking the on-screen link in the cards, or follow the link in the description below to our free PDF cookbook with all the dishes that we'll be cooking in this series. Or if you prefer a printed version, then there's one available as well. Like many parts of Asia, Japan historically takes many of its culinary roots from Chinese cuisine, although the Japanese have absorbed a lot of Western influence into their cuisine over the years. Quality, freshness and presentation are all hallmarks of Japanese food, and in 2011 Japan overtook France to become the country with most 3-star Michelin restaurants. The capital, Tokyo, continues to hold the title of the city with the most 3-star restaurants in the world. For me, Japan is one of the most culture-rich places on the planet. With its strict traditions and social etiquette, makes the Japanese some of the most disciplined people I've ever crossed paths with. And in comparison to Western culture, the differences are often quite opposing, and the customs are both interesting and sometimes actually a little tricky to navigate. This week, the Keep Heading East cookbook has a few pages dedicated to making sushi. In particular, sushi maki, the nori rolls, or urumaki rolls, the sushi rolls with the filling wrapped around the outside. It's a fairly common misconception that sushi is raw fish, and actually the term sushi refers to vinegar rice, and sashimi is the term for raw fish. The rice is usually white rice and a fairly short fat grain of rice. Okay, it's washed really thoroughly with cold water to remove a lot of the starch, and it's cooked using the absorption method, which just means that you've measured out the volume of the ratio of water and rice to begin with. Once it's cooked, it has a sushi dressing added or mixed through it, which is normally made of rice wine vinegar, salt and sugar. The rice is then left to cool off a little, and it's shaped or rolled up with the nori sheets, which are just pressed seaweed sheets. It's really important to do this before the rice cools and sets. It's pretty hard to get it to work once the rice has been chilled. If you're using fish for your sushi, it's really vital to get it as fresh as possible so it's safe to consume. Fish is often sold as sushi grade fish in shops. It generally indicates that it's the freshest that they've got in stock, but it's not actually an official term. Okay. Now, some fish, known as parasitic fish, such as salmon, should be frozen at 0 degrees for 7 days, or flash frozen at minus 35 degrees for 15 hours. And that's to kill off any parasites. And in the US, the FDA have actually made it a legal requirement that all fish that's for sale for raw consumption has been frozen. The bigger risk, actually, of becoming sick, in my opinion, from eating raw fish is more likely to come from some form of cross-contamination with older fish. So it's really important to buy from a reputable supplier if you intend to eat the fish raw. Another of my favorites from Japan would have to be the katsu curry and tonkatsu. It's a panko crumb and fried pork cutlet, and I've left a link in the end cards to another of Adam Liaw's clips that explains all about the different types of tonkatsu and how to make it. Another increasingly popular dish in the West to come out of Japan is ramen. It's a broth soup dish with noodles and all sorts of other tasty additions. Our favourite Korean, whose name we'll never be able to pronounce, has a couple of great examples. And as always, the links are on screen in just a moment. So that's it for this stop on our Keep Heading East tour of global cuisine. I hope you've enjoyed it. Links are on screen now for the videos I mentioned earlier if you'd like to see a little more from the region. And remember, for our subscribers, there's a fantastic cookbook to accompany this series. So if you haven't already, hit subscribe and grab yourself a free PDF copy of our cookbook, or if you prefer a hard copy, the links are there as well. Thanks for watching. See you soon.